Hi, this is Alan from PracticeICAOEnglish.com, and today I'm fortunate to be interviewing Bruce Jet Green, also known as the Safety Crusader. You can find his blog at safetycrusader.com. And let me tell you a little bit about Jet. He has an impressive resume within the aviation industry. Anyone interested in aviation, and especially safety and human factors in aviation, will definitely be interested in what Jet has to say. He has a wealth of real-life stories, some of which I'll be asking him to share. Jet has a very in-depth and balanced understanding of aviation operations, which he's acquired through his experience as an aircrew member on the C-130, which many of us know as the Hercules, and as an air traffic controller. With that introduction, welcome Jet to this interview, and thank you again for giving us some of your time.
And thank you, Alan, for giving me the opportunity to speak to your class. I always like to take every opportunity I can to speak to the aviators, to air traffic controllers, to emergency first responders. Heck, I'll even talk to truck drivers. I don't care. Anybody, basically, who will listen and talk to them about safety, about the human factors involved in mishaps and what we can do to prevent those factors from occurring. And I'll tell you what, for people who strap themselves into an airplane, it's a risky business. I had a old supervisor of mine many years ago who told me that, he said, flying's not safe, it's just a fad, and it will never last. Well, I think it will last, but he was right. It's definitely a risky endeavor. We need to take all the precautions we can, and not only in aviation, but in other industries as well, such as medical, truck driving, railroad operations, any kind of transportation industry. I'm sure everybody listening probably is familiar with the BP oil rig disaster in the Gulf of Mexico that happened last year. What a disaster that's been. And there's already some anecdotal evidence out there that human factors may have been involved in that. So we'll have to wait and see as that story unfolds. So hopefully today you'll hear something that will help you along the way avoid the, as I like to say, the slips, trips, stumbles, and fumbles of everyday life.
I'm looking forward to that. So Jet, would it be accurate to say that you've now dedicated your life to aviation safety?
Yeah, I pretty much dedicated my life to aviation safety. And it's funny how I got there. I was a young airman in the Air Force. I joined back in 1983. I started out as a clerk typist. I had many different jobs in the Air Force, but my first one was as a typist. And in addition to being a typist, I had a additional duty that was search and recovery, they called it. And basically what they would do is they get about 25 guys out there and take them to a crash site and have them walk a line and pick up the remains of the pilot or mark important aircraft components. And so at any rate, I was selected for that team, and I only had to do just a couple. There was only one that was a fatality, and it's actually an interesting story. The aircraft was an F-16. This was at Shaw Air Force Base down in South Carolina, to kind of help orient you if you're looking at a map. This is in the southern United States. The pilot had taken off, went over, flew their mission. They were gone for about an hour and a half. They came back, and the weather, which was not very good when they departed, had already deteriorated even more. And the ceiling was down to, if I remember the accident report right, it was right around 300 or 400 foot, and their minimums were right at about 250 feet, if I recall correct. I had a lot of Air Force bases in between there, so forgive me if any of you research that and find me incorrect. But at any rate, it was very low ceiling. As the pilot broke out, the runway lights were up in a high step. They were on step 5, which is the max intensity that the controller can provide. Well, as he broke out, the reflection on the top of his canopy, which was all glass, caused him to lose his positioning of where his aircraft was in relation to the ground. So he ended up clipping the ground right wing low and caused the aircraft to cartwheel. He was about a half mile out, maybe a quarter mile out, if I remember right, just from the accident scene looking back to the airport. That evening, they got the team together. We went out there, and I'm guessing there was probably about 12, 15 of us. And they made us walk in the line, put us in formation, and just basically start walking. And every time a body part was found, we had to stop and stop the line and mark it, tag it, and continue on. And at the end of the week we were there, we found this aviator in about 120 different places. It was definitely one of those experiences you never forget, and that one stayed with me. Now, could I point to that as the reason for me getting into aviation safety? In and of itself, no. There were other situations that happened over the year that really involved me more personally and my human failures, and especially in air traffic control, that caused me to go down this road of aviation safety. This journey has allowed me to meet a lot of people, to get to see another side of our mishaps, our failures as human beings, and to kind of lock on to something that I can own, that I can work on, to give me purpose in life, if you will. And that's been very, very satisfying to me. As you know, any of you who've looked at my website, safetycrusader.com, I don't get paid for any of this. I do this on my own. I go out and I work with the aviation public, with the community, with the emergency first responders. I listen to their stories. I give them tips, but I don't make any money off of this. This is something that I enjoy doing, and again, it's fulfilling. It gives me purpose in life, and if you can find something like that, that makes all the difference in the world, and as far as satisfaction goes, and what you're doing and what you're accomplishing, especially when you know that you potentially help somebody along the way. When somebody comes up and pats you on the back or sends you a note in the mail and says, "Hey, I really enjoyed that article you wrote," or "I saw you at that presentation the other day and you really reached me." That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes the difference between just having a job and really enjoying your work. Now, would it be possible to estimate how many tragedies your work has prevented?
Alan, it'd be hard to say. I don't know how many tragedies I've prevented. Maybe none. I don't know. But I do get about 700-800 hits a month on my website. I write 4 or 5 articles a year. I give as many presentations. And I do feel like I connect with the audience. You can really tell when people are paying attention and when they're interested. And, if I prevented one, well, it's been worth it.
I think you're probably being a little bit modest.
In part 2 of the interview with Jet Green, you will hear him talking about how his career as an air traffic controller started, what it takes to be an air traffic controller, and the stress and multitasking that controllers face every day.